Oh, yes. Look at that.
See, I like the lean back though. Like look at your posture right now.
I know.
And then look at mine.
Gymnast posture.
And I'm just like slumped
Lingering.
over. One of the other videos I was looking, and it looks like I have like a bit of a paunch. So do you know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds?
Yeah, it adds 20 on you.
You're supposed to say no. You look great.
No, it definitely does. It does.
Yeah.
It's okay. Me too.
Shut up.
Maybe not 20, but.
Yeah, right. We'll see. Because this is technically going to be the first time that you're on air.
Oh, right. It's recording. So we'll see if we look 10 pounds thicker.
We've started now.
Okay.
I don't feel like doing a formal introduction, if that's okay with you.
That is okay. We'll do an informal introduction. We're going to talk about micronutrients.
You're stealing my...
Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Pretend you didn't hear that.
I'm
sure they want to hear it again from you.
No. I think everyone just wants to hear you. I talk enough.
Okay, so we're going to talk about micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals, and kind of how to eat healthy and be less focused on macros and calories, which is something that's probably hard for some people to do, and to consider micronutrients and other things that you want to care about when you're eating.
Yeah, and you and I really didn't plan this out much beforehand.
No.
I don't want this to be an overly long...
It's going to be quick.
Yeah.
We don't even know what we're going to talk about, but we'll figure it out.
Pretty well. The main reason I wanted to talk about this with you is Anna is well on her way to becoming a dietitian. She's literally one stupid test away that she's like ready to write.
Ready to write.
It's like, just give me the pen and paper and she'll pass this bad boy, but things have been postponed.
We've let it go for now.
But anyways, Anna's obviously someone who's extremely qualified to talk about this matter. And I know, speaking on behalf of our members, I know a lot of our members have heard of things like macronutrients, your proteins, your carbs, your fats. But I think when it comes to micronutrients, it's like a word that they've heard, but they might have even thought like, oh, they probably just said macronutrients incorrectly. That's what micronutrients actually is.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's way less talked about and way less cared about too. So I think, yeah, just like you said, a lot of people just don't know anything about it and they've never heard about it. They don't know why it's important. They kind of know that it is important, but they don't know the actual benefits of it. They don't know enough to really care about it. And then I think there's also people who probably do understand it a bit more, who maybe know a bit more about nutrition. But I think also for people who've been so focused on calories and macros and basically having an aesthetic goal, it can be really easy to just forget that there's actually other reasons that you want to be healthy, or like other reasons you want to eat whole foods, or other things to kind of consider. Which are less obvious because you don't really see these effects in like your physical appearance that often.
So what is a micronutrient then? Like a macronutrient is protein, carbs, fats.
Protein, carbs, and fats. So the definition of a macro is just a nutrient that has calories, right? And then a micronutrient is also basically an essential nutrient. So a nutrient that your body doesn't make, so we have to get it from food, and it doesn't have calories. So that's vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when, you kind of touched upon when people have aesthetic goals, when they're looking to the hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer.
Hot boy summer. I don't know if that's a common one, but
it's definitely common.
Okay, cool. Hot boy summer, macronutrients is usually the focus, not micronutrients. Why is that?
Macros? Because when you have an aesthetic goal, so in terms of, weight loss or weight gain, so muscle gain or fat loss, the only thing that really matters is your calories and your protein, fat, and carbs. Like any amount of vitamins or minerals you have or you don't have isn't really going to have an immediate effect on how you look. So you can totally get by, sticking to the if it fits your macros approach and just eating kind of junky foods, or let's say like processed foods, or all the same foods, and just hitting your protein, fat, carbs, and your calories, and you can have the same visible results. Even if you're not getting enough nutrients, you're like deficient in a bunch of vitamins and minerals, you don't really see that right away.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons why we talk a lot about fitness does not necessarily equate to health.
Yes.
Like you can look super fit, but if you're just eating McDonald's to hit your calories and you're not getting all these amazing micronutrients that our body needs to be healthy, you could be lacking in the health department.
Exactly. So I think some of the reasons that you do want to care about that, so probably the earlier manifestation of, being deficient in nutrients is something like your energy is going to be really terrible. You might have issues with your skin, your hair might not look as good, your nails are going to be brittle, you might not be able to perform quite as well, like your performance might start lacking. Your aerobic capacity could decrease. Your recovery could be really terrible.
If you lack micronutrients.
If you lack micronutrients. So those would be some of kind of the earlier signs. And then I think like debatably the more important things is a really long-term deficiency in a certain micronutrient can lead to actual chronic diseases. So like cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, things like that you wouldn't see right away in, the first few months or even the first few years.
Yeah. Do you know of some, and sorry to put you on the spot, do you know of some micronutrients that most people are deficient in?
Are deficient?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So can I just like preface this by
Please,
saying,
give her.
if you
The floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay, that's a good question. Let's talk about common deficiencies that you'd actually have to worry about. Before we say that, I think I should definitely say that if you're a generally healthy young person and you eat a mainly healthy whole foods diet with a lot of variety, you probably don't have to worry about it.
What is young considered?
Young is considered under 70, under 60 to 70. So like pretty, you can get pretty old.
Yeah.
Like you could be 70 and you might not even have to worry generally. So yeah, if you don't have any other health conditions or anything, you're probably going to be fine. Part of that is because it's pretty easy to get enough nutrients from whole foods if you're eating a variety of whole foods. And another reason is that people fortify foods like, bread and whole grains and stuff like that. So you're probably going to be getting all the nutrients you need. However, there's specific vitamin deficiencies that are common for certain populations. So I think one of the more common ones is calcium and vitamin D. So those are obviously important for preventing osteoporosis and having strong bones, things like that, preventing like fractures and falls when you're older. And this is common, obviously, in North Americans. I think the stats are like 70% of North Americans are at least slightly vitamin D deficient. So it's pretty common. So vitamin D is a common one. I think the actual clinical recommendations are to supplement with it now. So that's a pretty common deficiency, and that's just in North America. So I imagine Canada is probably even worse.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty common one for all Canadians and North Americans. Another sort of common one, let me think of what's like more relevant. I want to say calcium is pretty common apparently in females. I don't know why, but it is. So should we talk about like how to actually get those nutrients?
Yeah, I was going to say the last one is iron a deficiency amongst females
Okay,
as
so
well?
I can list them first. So yes, iron amongst females and amongst young children, like before preschool age, and amongst elderly, right? So that's one. And then vitamin B12 is going to be another one that's really common amongst not just vegans and vegetarians, but anyone who doesn't eat a lot of red meat or eggs. And let's think, iron, B12, vitamin D, calcium. Those are probably the main ones. Yeah. So how to get them?
I was trying to think if there's any like in my head, but yeah. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like that's basically it. Potassium is a slightly common one as well.
Sure, just eat a banana.
Eat a banana. Eat all veggies too, not just a banana, but any veggies. Yeah, people don't eat enough veggies. That's why.
Yeah, and I know with B12 because this is one, and once again, anecdotal evidence. When I started supplementing with B12, it must have been that I was deficient because like I noticed an immediate boost in my energy.
I believe it.
And like just like every supplement, there's good supplements and bad supplements. Like I would invest in a good B12.
Yeah.
I think it's 5,000 mg or something like that.
5,000 micrograms.
Maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah, but like there's ones that like you'll put like underneath your tongue.
Oh,
so,
that's fun.
Yeah, so when you see them, don't like just swallow them to get the most out of it. You actually have to put it
in your tongue. Oh, that's fun. Okay, you know what?
And
Going
they're
along
flavored.
with
They're fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
The under the tongue thing. Okay, I don't know if this is legit. Like, do you think that would work with other things?
Probably.
Like,
Because
could you
isn't
put
it just
coffee under your tongue and
it's
absorb
just a
the caffeine?
faster absorption?
Right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, because it bypasses your liver.
Okay, but you don't need a faster way to absorb
just
caffeine.
saying,
There's a legit problem.
I know.
As soon as
There's
you
a
said,
legit
"Oh,
problem.
and caffeine could,
Okay, let's use that.
hinder how you what did you say? How you absorb
Oh, I know.
certain vitamins?
Not with our iron, of course.
You're not absorbing any vitamins.
absorbing
then. You take them, they just fly right out of your pores.
No iron absorption here.
Anna has a caffeine problem, just so we can.
It's a very big problem.
Out.
Don't worry, I'm gonna quit caffeine starting tomorrow.
Yeah. Famous last words.
I'm kidding. Yeah, but it makes sense because it would bypass your liver. So I'm like, then would you also avoid getting a tolerance to it?
Maybe.
Same with alcohol. You could put it under your tongue. And like, I'm just wondering. I'm just thinking because I know it gets absorbed right into your blood. Like it doesn't even go through your.
That'll be the next
liver.
podcast topic we talk about.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to have as much. You'd save money.
Yeah.
On like coffee or whatever.
Vodka under the tongue. Try it next week.
And yeah, and you wouldn't get a tolerance, and it wouldn't give you fatty liver disease. I'm sure there's some huge con as to why we don't do that, but I just theoretically in my head it makes sense. This is also definitely not medical advice. This is me just thinking.
Well, imagine actually trying to store tequila in your mouth, though.
That would be terrible. If it was under your tongue, you wouldn't taste it.
That's even worse.
You wouldn't taste it.
You don't think so?
Maybe. Okay, yeah. It would
That's
probably
the thing.
leak out
It's
of
like,
it.
imagine, okay, shoot your shot, and then you're just sitting there like...
Maybe like, yeah, I don't know. Okay.
That'd be horrible.
Don't do it. Not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it.
Okay, so micronutrients. Vitamins, the minerals, the things we need.
Yes, things we need.
So when, like you kind of talked about at the beginning when you were like, if you are a younger individual under the age of 70, which is amazing, if you're just eating like not a wholesome. Wow, I'm really lost for my words here. If you're eating a wide variety of foods, eating your fruits and veggies, like you should pretty much be good with your micronutrient intake. You should pretty much be good. And I kind of realized that when I studied this unit in university. I remember we were talking about this. I remember knowing that our next unit was like vitamins and minerals. And I was like, oh, that's so exciting. Like, I'm so excited to learn about like really specific ways to like get vitamins. And it ended up being so repetitive and kind of boring, and just like there was so much overlap, like a lot of, because we would learn about like the deficiency symptoms and like how much you need, how it's absorbed in your body, blah, 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 like boring stuff. And then also the types of foods that you get these things from. And there was so many vitamins where it's like, okay, just eat, a variety of whole foods, basically colorful fruits and veggies, whole grains, legumes, eggs, like red meat, fish, stuff like that. And it was just very, very repetitive. So I think it doesn't make any sense to memorize each vitamin, each vitamin and what foods contain that vitamin. I think it makes a lot more practical sense to just have a variety of whole, healthy foods. Yeah. Variety of whole, healthy foods. Because even if you do eat generally healthy, without the variety, there is a chance you could be lacking something. Right? Like I think if you're eating, even if you're, hitting your carb intake, certain carbs, like maybe you eat a lot of potatoes and you're really good with your potassium and your vitamin C, but you don't have you're lacking in zinc. So then maybe the next day you should eat some black beans or whatever. So instead of memorizing each thing, it's just like, just eat a variety of carbs, eat a variety of healthy fats, eat a variety of things. Yeah. Eat a variety. Eat enough whole foods. They're also pretty copious in whole foods. So even if you're like 80% whole foods, doesn't mean you have to have like fully 100% whole foods. If you're eating roughly, 80% healthy foods, you're probably going to have more than enough of what you need. Well, the main reason I wanted to talk to you about this, and we're nearing the conclusion of this episode, but I think something that really like grinds my gears on like TikTok fitness and TikTok nutrition. By the way, that's going to be the next episode we do, is like TikTok nutrition trends. Oh yeah, okay. And busting them. But anyways, you see it a lot. Like, okay, count your macros, macros. It's like, oh, I drank and I stayed in my macros. And like, although that is true, I think it sends a really dangerous message where it's like, yes, you can hit targets and eat like an asshole, but like, is that really what your body needs long term? Yes. And, when you think of the people who are literally just eating, boiled chicken and rice, and they're not having any of the vegetables that their body needs, like, I'm sorry, that is going to catch up with you eventually. Yes. And if it isn't now manifesting in, just being really tired all the time, having really terrible recovery, like let's say you're not eating enough veggies. So maybe short term, you'll just have pretty low energy. Maybe you'll bruise really easily because vitamin C helps in like collagen production. Even if you don't have that in probably 10, 20, 30 years, lacking in vitamin C and vitamin E, which are antioxidants, has a huge increased risk with cancer. Yeah. Same with like calcium. If you're like, oh, well, I think that's a pretty common one. So if you're seeing that you're under in your calcium, because you can see that on MyFitnessPal, by the way. So if you know that you're under in your calcium and you think that it's not really a huge deal because you don't notice any effects right now, you can't tell that your bones are getting weaker, that's going to have a huge, huge impact in, 60, 50, whatever years when you're older. Not 70, though. When you're over 70, you're old, apparently. No. But yeah, then you are like putting yourself at risk for osteoporosis. There's also a huge increased risk in heart disease for deficiencies in, again, vitamin C, vitamin E, the antioxidants, calcium, potassium. Yeah. So yeah, there's like really, really massive associations between vitamin deficiency
and chronic diseases that you do want to care about, even if you can't see the effects right now.
Exactly. And I think the reason so many people have not heard of this word, micronutrients, is because it's not like as sexy as macronutrients, right?
No.
It's like people want to know, all right, how do I get shredded? All right, well, you got to count your macros. But like, if you don't need to really worry about your micros, people are like, who cares? I'll be fine. It's only one summer, and then it's 2 summers, then it's 3 summers.
I know,
so
and then you get really good at fitting in all these unhealthy foods and still hitting your macros. And and I think that's where that kind of all foods fit can get taken a bit too far, because of course all foods can fit. But then a lot of people who are really into that don't even like they'll eat like one vegetable a day. And it's like, that's so great that you're still, you know, making progress, working towards your goals and fitting in all the good tasting treat foods that you love. But if you're also just completely ignoring the health side, then that's not really, I don't think it's a great message.
Yes, I 100% agree. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about on micros that you feel like we didn't?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Should we talk about phytonutrients?
Whoa.
just like plant compounds.
Yeah.
So that, like, aside from actual like vitamins and minerals, actually this might be interesting, and things that you can see on a label or like track really. If you look up a food, there's things called phytonutrients, and these are just like,
is that a micronutrient?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a micronutrient. So it's just like chemicals in plants, in like all whole plant foods that prevent cancer and prevent chronic diseases. And again, you're not going to see a value for it. You're not going to probably see short-term like physical effects on it, but that's also something that you want to keep in mind when you're thinking about eating whole foods versus also like actually just supplementing with foods. Because if you take like, you know, a vitamin A or vitamin C or something you might be lacking in your veggies, you're not quite making up for everything. So I think that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Lots of reasons.
And this is all backed by studies and research as well. This isn't just Anna trying things in her in her kitchen.
This is not me having fun with my plants. This is legit. This is backed by, you know, the evidence, the latest dietitian recommendations.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So
as always.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
How do you feel about your first video podcast?
I feel great. I forgot the video was on.
I know
I would like look at it a few times.
I know.
But I forgot most of the time.
I forget what Jess was calling it. The third wall, the fourth wall. I forget. But I have a habit of looking at the camera, and then it's probably really awkward as well.
Oh, is it awkward?
I don't know.
It is.
I mean, I could edit it, but like, I'm not going to. There's been times, I remember there's times where I was talking to you. I know, and you raise your eyebrows. You're like this. Hey.
To make a point. It's just for emphasis.
Yeah, left side.
Okay. I think we're going to call it there. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on Instagram and probably TikTok.
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
And LinkedIn. We're on there now.
Oh, are we?
Oh, yeah, we're everywhere. Everywhere but Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a Twitter, but I don't. That's too much.
For 7-year-olds.
Yeah, it's for 7-year-olds. Cool. Thank you for taking time. I appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Okay. Bye, everybody.